Last week, we talked about the fact that Bud Light not only partnered with Dylan Mulvaney, made him a sponsor of Bud Light. You can go to the TikTok channel or the TikTok or Instagram of Dylan Mulvaney, and you can see the video that he made. They also sent him a specially printed can, a commemorative can of beer with his face. He's obviously dressed like a woman in woman face, with his face on this beer can as part of the incentive for Dylan Mulvaney to advertise Budweiser. And you and I, and a lot of people like us across the country, didn't take to this too well. We are offended by Dylan Mulvaney because he's acting in a way intended to destroy objective truth. I feel bad for him as an individual. I worry about his soul. I find it to be heartbreaking what he's doing to his body. And he always refers to the mental health issues that he's suffering from, which we'll talk about in just a second. But the stock price of Budweiser in the wake of this partnership with Dylan Mulvaney plunged by 3% on Monday of this week, which is a large drop for a company as big as Budweiser, which is relatively stable. Now, they claim, oh, this is still a 50-year high for us, which it may be, but it's ridiculous to try to insinuate that the 3% drop that they have experienced in the last couple of days has nothing to do with their partnership that was all over the news last week with Dylan Mulvaney. Of course it does. Don't try to gaslight us. It obviously has to do with Dylan Mulvaney, which should show you in a perfectly free market, uncorrupted by, ESG, in a perfectly free market, this would be a sign to Budweiser that they should not be partnering with Dylan Mulvaney, that they should try to appeal to their consumer instead of acting like they hate the people that buy their product, which is what they're acting like when they trot out Dylan Mulvaney as their spokesperson. But all of this being said, it's a huge amount of stock price to drop, and it's not going to make any difference in Budweiser's choices of how they advertise. It's not going to do a darn thing. Nothing. They're not going to listen to the market. They're not going to listen to the consumer. It doesn't matter how much their stock price drops because we are not operating anymore in a perfectly free market system. Our capitalist system has been perverted by ESG, the environmental, social, and governance metrics that big banks like BlackRock, Bank of America use to control business decisions. So Budweiser, instead of saying, well, we shouldn't do something stupid that's going to cause our consumers to be mad because out of respect for our shareholders, we have to make sure that we make fiscally responsible decisions. No, now they look at their ESG score. They look at maybe the category, the S, the social category. Are they properly virtue signaling? Are they pushing for radical leftist political agenda items? And that's how they base their business decisions. And in this case, it's not just hypothetical, like I just described. I explained this for anybody who doesn't know what ESG is. If you listen to the show, we talk about it all the time. You should know what it is. But ESG in general is not actually the only reason that Budweiser made this decision. There's another index, another social credit score system called CEI. It stands for Corporate Equality Index. It is a specific version of ESG, is what I'd call it. Because ESG, there are about, 100 different ESG calculators or ESG metric systems. ESG is a generalized concept. The World Economic Forum and Klaus Schwab are trying to make their version of ESG the universal one. But right now there's a bunch of, ironically, competing ESG metrics and standards. And so there's tons of them. One of these specific ones is called CEI, this Corporate Equality Index. And what is the Corporate Equality Index and how does it impact Budweiser? The Corporate Equality Index is dedicated specifically to the transgenderism political agenda. They claim that they want LGBTQIA representation and inclusion and rights, et cetera, in corporate workplaces. But the truth of the matter is they are using transgenderism as their political cause. But it's just that. It's not transgenderism with abortion. It's not transgenderism with climate change. They're just dedicated to transgenderism. So the Corporate Equality Index is an organization that is funded, and, cue the alarm bells here because the left will tell us it's anti-Semitic to even mention his name, let alone his political activism. The Corporate Equality Index is funded by George Soros. That's right. George Soros and his Open Society Foundation gave millions and millions of dollars to the Corporate Equality Index, which isn't going to surprise you.